As I sit in the quiet of my kitchen, the memories come rushing back like a cherished tide, wrapping around me. The bustling sound of David's laughter as a child fills my mind, a melody that once danced through these walls, bringing warmth and light. I can almost smell the sweet scent of fresh-baked cookies still wafting through the air, the way it used to linger after long afternoons spent baking together. Those moments, coated in sugary happiness and love, now feel like distant echoes, reminiscent of a life before the fractures began. I put my hands on the table, feeling the smooth wood beneath my fingers, a solid reminder of the years I spent nurturing David's growth, ensuring he always came first, skipping my own dreams to ensure his was my life's calling. Every late-night study session, every penny saved for his education, every tear shed for setbacks were signs of my devotion. The sacrifices I made were endless. I recall the way I brushed his hair back when he fell asleep, the softness of his skin, the trust he placed in me as his mother. Those memories seemed to slip through my fingers like sand, suddenly too fragile against the weight of today. Now, that bond we once had appears shrouded in shadows. My heart aches as I remember the moments when David would look to me for guidance. Each time he asked for advice, I felt the thrill of purpose course through me. Yet, in recent weeks, I noticed the complacency that has settled into him, the way he brushes off my concerns regarding Vanessa's treatment of me. For him, it's all just part of growing up, I suppose. But for me, every laughter spurred by her ridicule cuts deeper, nipping at the edges of my dignity. Today, as I wash the dishes and my thoughts drift, I reflect on how it all began to change. The laughter that once echoed joy has morphed into silence when I enter the room. I feel marginalized, existing in the periphery of my family's lives. The vibrant spirit of our home seems to fade day by day, replaced by quiet compliance to Vanessa's dismissive comments. I can see the way David chooses to look away during these moments, his eyes glossing over with discomfort, yet he says nothing, and this silent complicity wounds me more than the words ever could. In one poignant moment, I catch sight of a family photo hanging on the wall of us at a picnic, the tree that used to shade us, our laughter spilling into the warm summer air. As I gaze at our younger selves, I see the promise of the future reflected in David's smile, not the hesitance of today. "What happened to you?" I whisper to myself, and I feel the tightening of my throat, the lump of emotion rallying in my chest. With each passing day, the starkness of my isolation grows. I remember the age-old wisdom I clung to, the dreams I had of nurturing my grandchildren, sharing the lessons life so generously bestowed upon me. But as Vanessa's control tightens, my intuition, once a beacon of clarity, flickers dimly. Determined to breathe life back into our family dynamics, I promise myself to find my voice again. I resolve that I must educate David about the toll of silence, especially the price of complacency. My instincts, once so sharp, urge me to take action. To reclaim the bond we shared, I refuse to let this mockery define my existence. The thought ignites my spirit, whispering softly in the corners of my mind. In the shadows of mockery and disdain, a mother's instinct battles to reclaim her voice. I will not, cannot, allow this dynamic to continue. I must weave my wisdom back into our family tapestry, reminding them all that age carries weight and insight that should be honored. And perhaps, just perhaps, I can spark a change, one heartfelt conversation at a time. Shall we move on to Block B? The day Vanessa walked into our home feels like a pivotal turn, a moment etched into my mind with the clarity of a bright sun overhead. I remember it vividly. The air was fragrant with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and flowers from the garden. I had spent that morning preparing for the arrival of my future daughter-in-law, my heart fluttering with hopes and hopes that I could share my life experience and wisdom with the woman who had chosen to join our family. I remember watching David as he beamed with pride, introducing Vanessa to me as if she were the most precious gem he had discovered. At first, she seemed sweet and eager, bringing a fresh scent of lavender into our home, a smell I originally associated with cleaning and renewal. I welcomed her with open arms, wanting no more than to forge a connection that would bridge our lives together. But in the weeks that followed, that initial warmth soon faded, replaced by an unsettling chill. I recall a specific afternoon, sitting near the kitchen table, the scent of homemade bread baking in the oven enveloping us. I expressed my thoughts about how we could celebrate our family traditions, a ritual of stories and laughter passed down from generation to generation. Vanessa's dismissive laughter cut through my words with the ease of a knife slicing through butter. "Clara, that old-fashioned method won't work now. We do things differently," she chirped, the edges of her smile sharp enough to prompt an involuntary flinch. David laughed along with her, oblivious to the small jab cloaked in joviality. I felt the sheer weight of my voice crumple, withering against the strong gust of her dismissive tone. With each passing day, I noticed more of these subtle jibes, each one a small rock tossed into the pond of my confidence, rippling outward until my feelings of worth were lost in the silence that followed. It was not just her words that cut me, it was how she marginalized my contributions to family discussions. Her disdain manifested in the way she abruptly changed the subject or interjected with a thought that undermined mine. At first, I thought perhaps it was merely a misunderstanding. Cultural differences could be to blame. But as time ticked by and the warm tones of graffiti in our conversations dulled further, I began to sense the sharpness of her edge. Around the dinner table, I would pour my heart into expressing my concerns for my grandchildren, only to see her roll her eyes dismissively, a behavior thinly veiled as, what was it, just an old woman's worry? I tried desperately to grapple with the shadows enveloping our home, feeling the vibrant energy recede away, like the last rays of sunlight before nightfall. The sense of exclusion tightened around me like a noose. I longed to voice my apprehensions, to pounce on the stillness that surrounded my anguish, but I hesitated. Vanessa wore her confidence like an armor, and David, my son, seemed increasingly oblivious, lost in the comfort of a relationship that did not include me. My heart sank further when I began to notice how those I once held dear slowly sidestepped my presence, leaving a gaping hole where love and respect used to thrive. I observed quaint interactions in front of me instead of the cherished relationship I once had. I watched David laugh easily with her, while I am left as a faint echo, my own voice now unheard in the background. One evening, as I sat in the living room, knitting a scarf for one of my grandchildren, I felt a wave of sorrow wash over me. The muted sounds of laughter filled the air as I overheard them discussing plans for a family trip, one that I had not been invited to join. It cut through me like glass, a simple outing, an invitation extended to a mother rendered invisible by the looming figure of a daughter-in-law, her presence eclipsing my own. An air of bitterness settled in. Yet, as I stared out into my garden, life blossoming in vibrant colors, I knew I had to summon the strength to confront this new reality. That meant finding a way around Vanessa's control, a strategy that would allow me to weave my voice back into our family tapestry. I remember fleeting moments of clarity in those shadows, whispers of determination rising within me. In the shadows of mockery and disdain, a mother's instinct battles to reclaim her voice. I grasped at those words, clinging to them like a lifeline, because I understood that in the depths of this storm there lay an opportunity to reconnect with David, to stand my ground, to assert what I had built over the years and find a way to shift the dynamics. With each gentle tap of my needles against one another, I begin to formulate a plan, a way to share my insights, assert my worth, and slowly peel back the veil Vanessa draped over my life. I may have lost ground, but I will not give up the fight to reclaim my family, my dignity, and most importantly, my voice. Shall we move on to block 3? Every day, time trickles like sand through an hourglass, and with it, my spirit slowly erodes under the weight of silent humiliations. With each gathering, I brace myself for Vanessa's cutting remarks, the sharp edges of her words slicing through my very essence. Family dinners, once a vibrant tableau of laughter and warmth, have transformed into painstaking exercises in endurance. I don't want to be here, and yet the thought of retreating from my family, my lifeline, is too painful to bear. I find myself seated at the dinner table, surrounded by family, but I feel more isolated than ever. The scent of roasted chicken and garlic wafts through the room. The table is adorned with a brightly patterned tablecloth, each flower in its place. Yet I can hardly partake in the feast, my appetite lost in the swirling currents of discomfort. Instead, I observe, feeling like a ghost hovering at the edge of the room, a spectator in my own life. Well, Clara, are we really going to do this the old-fashioned way? Vanessa sneers during a lively conversation about holiday plans, turning the spotlight on me just as I dare to share my thoughts. It's a subtle jab, masked by laughter, yet it feels like a branding iron against my spirit. David laughs awkwardly, glancing at Vanessa, that familiar flicker of discomfort passing through his eyes. Yet he remains mute. My heart races, the burn of shame washing over me as I feel the collective gaze of relatives shift uneasily. What do you even know about modern parenting? She continues, playfully tossing her hair back, basking in my embarrassment. I doubt your wisdom would be much help. The sharp laughter erupts once again, filling the crack in my heart in the most agonizing way. The echo of their mirth hangs in the air, wrapping around me like a thick fog. I can almost feel the edges of my dignity fraying, thin as the fabric on my favorite sweater, a garment I haven't had the heart to wear since the laughter started. And with each cutting remark, I retreat further into the recesses of my mind, my stomach churning. The weekends, once sacred spaces filled with family interactions, now morph into painful exhibitions of compliance as I navigate the ever-increasing tension. A recent Sunday lunch was excruciating. As we gathered at the table adorned with fresh flowers and my home-cooked specialties, I attempted to express concern for my grandchild's recent frightful nightmares. Children have nightmares all the time, Clara, Vanessa scoffed. It's nothing to worry about. You should know that. With each syllable, I could feel my heart collapses, and the table seemed to close in on me. I forced a smile, my trembling hands betraying me as I straightened the tablecloth, trying to regain a sense of control. Why must I endure this? The question echoes in my mind, heavy and unyielding. With each gathering, I witness Vanessa's control tightening around David. He remains oblivious to my suffering, unable to decipher the layers of manipulation at play. Deep down, I know the disconnect between us grows wider each day, an invisible chasm that threatens to swallow our bond whole. Yet, I hesitated to speak up. The fear of provoking Vanessa, of rocking David's world further, holds me prisoner. In these moments of isolation, I seek solace in my garden. I escape into the vibrancy of the daisies and roses, running my fingers over delicate petals as if hoping they might absorb my sorrow. The earth is a balm. It quiets the turmoil, offering consolation amid the chaos. Yet, the peace is fleeting, and the darkness of humiliation inevitably resurfaces. I realize that I have to change my strategy. I can't allow their dismissive remarks and laughter to slip past me unnoticed any longer. Every remark, every rising sense of unease, needs to become fuel for my resolve. My pulse quickens as the realization dawns. I must document these moments silently, like an observer, recording the subtle shifts in our interactions. So I begin writing in a small notebook nestled in my nightstand. With each stilted encounter, I jot down the nuances, the dismissive glares, the casual jibes, the hurt that lingers in my chest. The act of writing breathes life back into my thoughts, allowing me to reclaim some measure of power over my narrative. As I pen each experience, I feel the weight of oppression shifting, however gradually. I remind myself that the wisdom I've gathered over the years hasn't evaporated or vanished. It simply waits in the shadows to be acknowledged. I whisper to myself the mantra I have clung to. In the shadows of mockery and disdain, a mother's instinct battles to reclaim her voice. The echoes of those moments drive me forward. This cannot be how it ends. With each subtle humiliation noted, I prepare my heart for the journey ahead. A strategy begins to blossom, one which would allow me to counter Vanessa's influence, rekindle my relationship with David, and eventually reclaim my rightful place in our family. I am more than just Clara, the mother in the background. I am Clara, a matriarch ready to rise from the shadows, poised to bring forth the truth that has long been buried. Shall we continue on to Block 4? With my notebook as a loyal witness, I immerse myself in the task of gathering evidence against the insidiousness that has come to inhabit my home. Each entry I make becomes a thread, weaving together the tapestry of my experiences, pulling them from the recesses of my heart into a tangible narrative that charted Vanessa's manipulation over time. As the weeks pass, I treat these observations like delicate petals of a flower, carefully plucked and preserved. I look for patterns, uncovering subtle shifts in behavior cloaked beneath layers of charm and deception. Vanessa knows how to navigate the spaces between us, and I need to expose the truth lurking in the silent crevices. It's a chilling realization, watching from the sidelines as she carefully orchestrates conversations. There's a gathering scheduled for David's birthday, a special day meant to celebrate. Yet I feel a sense of dread linger in the corners of my mind. She has taken on the role of the perfect hostess, while I stand as an outsider peering in. I mentally capture snapshots of interactions, piecing together the torment that hides ensconced in laughter. At the table, guests begin to arrive, and Vanessa flits around, her smile painted on like the brightly colored facade of a dollhouse. I feel my heart race as I jot down notes under the table, my fingers trembling on the pages of my notebook with each cutting remark she makes and the laughter that follows. At one point, I overhear her mocking my attempt at a family recipe for potato salad, a dish I perfected over the years, now reduced to a laughable anecdote. I didn't realize old recipes needed so much seasoning to hide the flavor, she quips, laughter bubbling from the gathered friends. I wince as the words stab through me, feeling the heat rise beneath my skin. David's chuckle echoes with warmth, and I feel my very presence in the room dissolve as the moments stretch on, a black hole sucking away my sense of belonging. I wouldn't worry about the potato salad, David murmurs to Vanessa. My mom makes it with love. The moment wraps around me like a double-edged sword, soft warmth tinged with bitterness. His words bring a flicker of hope, but then it's gone. eclipsed by the momentary delight Vanessa basks in, reveling in a joke at my expense. It's clear at that moment that my son is trapped in ambiguity, torn between loyalty to his wife and love for his mother. As the evening unfolds, my notebook becomes a silent confidant, absorbing every snide comment, every unserious glance exchanged between guests. I lose track of time as I pen each nuance, determined to build a case against what had become part of life's daily banalities. A nagging thought haunts me. How could David not see what I see? Each one of my observations is meant to validate my feelings, guiding me nearer to a point of confrontation. The gaslighting feels unbearable, and I cannot continue to live in denial. As night settles in, I embolden myself to move beyond mere observations. I engage with David, carefully choosing my words, hoping to gemstone a moment of clarity. "David," I begin, my heart pounding under the weight of the thoughts running through my mind. "What do you think about Vanessa's comments?" His brow furrows, the warmth in his eyes dimming slightly. "Mom, I think we should all just relax. She's just joking," he replies, dismissing my concerns rather effortlessly, shrugging them off like falling leaves. Each word chips away at me, revealing the deep-seated denial emerging within our dynamic. "Come on, lighten up," he continues, carefully avoiding eye contact. And there it is. The gaslighting becomes palpable, the complicity a shackle. I swallow hard, the lump in my throat a bitter and choking reminder of how David's silence wounds. Inside my heart, I scream for him to see the truth, yet I note the hesitance in my voice. The last thing I wish to do is cause a rift between us. I remind myself that this moment is less about surviving and more about revealing truth, not anger. After the guests dispel and the laughter subsides, I retreat to my sanctuary, cradling the weight of my notebook, running my fingers over the pages, each word etched in clarity. I recall all the laughter, the whispered comments, the detached glances exchanged throughout the night. My pen moves furiously, documenting every observation until the pages begin to swell, revealing evidence of my truth woven through their words. I confront the weight of my reflections while reminding myself that visibility begins within me, even if the world around me confounds it. I bury my head in my hands, feeling the sob rise within me like a tide, the yearning for recognition, for acknowledgement, for respect roaring louder than ever. The mantra drifts through my mind, anchoring me. In the shadows of mockery and disdain, a mother's instinct battles to reclaim her voice. Determined, my breath calms as I plan for what I know must happen. I will need to collect myself, confront Vanessa directly, and perhaps even bring David into that conversation. The notion terrifies me, but I feel emboldened. I have gathered the evidence, charted the emotional landscape, and prepared to face the storm. With each passing day, I realize that reclaiming my voice means facing both Vanessa and David with truth and authenticity. The hourglass of my existence has nearly run dry, yet within me burns the fire of resolution ready to burst forth, no longer a quiet observer, but a distinct force poised to reclaim my place in this family. Shall I move ahead to Block 5? The next few days drift by in an anxious haze, each ticking minute a reminder that I must firm my resolve and confront the unsettling dynamics that have crept into my life. Each instance of indifference lingers in my heart, seeping into my thoughts, intensifying my need to restore balance within my family. I sense impending liberation, yet it carries the weight of anxiety. Confronting Vanessa feels like standing at the edge of a precipice, unsure of whether to leap or trepidatiously retreat. I invest my time preparing for the birthday dinner I have decided must serve as the foundation for my confrontation. The air is thick with anticipation as the day draws near. It dawns on me how sometimes the most important invitations are not the ones directed at others, but those we extend to ourselves, inviting courage, clarity, and heart back into our lives. That morning, I immerse myself in the kitchen, letting the aroma of freshly baked cake infuse the air. The vanilla mingles with memories of celebratory laughter, but today feels different. I channel my nervous energy into crafting a feast that reflects not only my culinary skills, but my spirit. I delicately decorate the cake, each petal atop a layer, mimicking my hopes of blooming among my family again. As guests begin to arrive, I take a moment in solitude, closing my eyes and whispering a silent affirmation. In the shadows of mockery and disdain, a mother's instinct battles to reclaim her voice. My heart beats steadily. The wave of anxiety ebbs slightly at the sound of familiar laughter filtering through the walls of my home. When David arrives, I can't help but notice the sparkle in his eyes, the enchantment of the day wrapping around him. He stops to help me carry in the birthday decorations, those streamers that dangle from the ceiling like vibrant memories waiting to be ignited. However, a prick of anxiety arises as I meet his gaze, and I sense the wall between us stands all too tall. Mom, it feels like every year this day gets better and better, he says, his eyes bright with hopeful mirth. I want to relish in this sentiment, but my heart ponders, what is the cost in this joviality? Clenching my fist tight around the edges of my apron, I focus on what's essential today, my plan. When everyone gathers around the table, laughter cascades through the air, but I focus on the moments I have prepared to take charge of. The clinking of forks mingling with conversation heightens my focus. I will not allow Vanessa to derail the evening. I rise, lifting my glass in a moment of calm. To David, my son, on this special day, I begin, my voice steady but tinged with a command that draws everyone's attention. I want us to celebrate not just you, but the foundation of our family. My heart pounds as I see Vanessa tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her expression shifting between interest and skepticism. The clamor fades. Voices drop as eyes fixate on me. In this family, we love each other, but love should come without ridicule. No one deserves to feel belittled. I think it's time we acknowledge what's been happening. The moment maintains a delicate tension. The room pulses with unspoken words as I feel Vanessa's surprise cut through the air. My instincts tell me this is the moment where silence must bow to clarity. But then my son's face scrunches, a flicker of hesitation washing over him. Mom, he interjects, clearly uncomfortable. It's just jokes, right? We love to joke around. No. The plea in his eyes feels like a tether, pulling me down into a pit of doubt, a reminder of that tender connection we once shared, now muddied with layers of loyalty and fear. David, a joke shouldn't come at the expense of a relationship. I counter gently yet firmly. Vanessa's laughter too often leaves me in the shadows. I feel invisible in my own family. The words tumble forth, each syllable imbued with the weight of months that have gone unaddressed. Surprisingly, I see Vanessa bristle with defiance. She leans back in her chair, flipping her hair over her shoulder with exaggerated nonchalance. You're being overly sensitive. If you can't take a joke, that's not my fault. Each syllable drips with disdain, a deflection designed to divert the responsibility of my hurt. The tension shifts in the room, a taut cord ready to snap. I take a deep breath, the weight of my observations spilling forth like the petals of a wilting flower, each moment revealing the truth of how Vanessa has etched herself into our lives as the unwelcome gatekeeper. Maybe it's time to evaluate the jokes we make, I respond, a rising fire lighting my resolve. I steady myself, layering strength into my words. Being a mother is not simply a title, It's a responsibility to my children. And if I can't do that without feeling small, then something has to change. The room is silent, a charged stillness settling like dust around us. David's eyes flit between Vanessa and me, the tension in his shoulders rising as if caught within two opposing forces, his loyalty and my authenticity. And just as I fear I may have pushed too far, I spot the glimmer of understanding flicker in his gaze. Mom, He starts hesitantly but halts. I lean closer to him, hope punctuated by fear in the depths of my heart. David, this isn't about blame. It's about restoring a balance where both Vanessa and I can feel valued. You deserve a mother who stands tall as much as you deserve a wife who respects those bonds. I see the crack in his expression, the struggle brewing beneath the surface. Slowly, inch by inch, I sense the boundaries shifting. Suddenly, Vanessa stands, pushing her chair back, the audible scrape like a tightening knot. Clara, this is ridiculous. You're making a scene, she declares, her voice weaving between irritation and fortitude. I straighten my back, anchored in the tumult that swirls around us. I'm bringing attention to the very need for respect, Vanessa. That's not a scene. It's actually long overdue. Faced with her ire, I endure, feeling the solidity of my heart bringing warmth into the cooling air. David looks stricken, the clash of loyalty hanging heavily like a storm cloud. They can mute me at the table, never in my heart, I affirm quietly, knowing that this battle of wills is merely a preface to a deeper understanding yet to unfurl. I see this family, I add, inviting him into my conviction, and I want it to thrive. The tension flares, yet there's promise nestled in that gaze. Just there, a flicker where understanding meets acceptance. Something has been unleashed, a shift from mere shadows turned into an exposed narrative begging to be acknowledged. We stand at a turning point, a chance to break the cycle, and for once, I breathe as clarity begins to form, the dawn ever so close to breaking. With the tension from our confrontation lingering in the air, I know this is just the beginning. I need a solid plan to act upon my newfound resolve and make sure the family dynamics are not only addressed, but transformed. Returning to my kitchen, I find solace in the rhythm of preparing meals, each chop of vegetables a reminder of the boundaries I am fighting to reclaim. Crafting a feast for David's upcoming birthday, I recognize it as an opportunity, one where I can open the door for essential conversations. As I bake and stir, I envision how laughter can accompany the truth I'm determined to unveil. I focus on every detail, wanting everything to be perfect. Yet a small knot of anxiety persists. Will they take me seriously? Will Vanessa listen? During dinner preparations, I engage David in light-hearted conversation about work, layering my comments with gentle nudges about family. You've really excelled this year, honey. I saw that presentation you sent over. His smile surfaces, brightening the room, but I sense the shadows of doubt flickering behind his eyes. Thanks, Mom, he replies, his tone dismissive. The comfort of approval has not erased his inner turmoil. As I serve the food, a wave of determination washes over me. In addressing my concerns with Vanessa, I must choose my moments wisely. I need to expose the unwelcoming humor that has tainted our family gatherings without casting her solely as a villain. In quiet moments over chamomile tea, I casually bring up the need for family respect. Vanessa, I think it's crucial for us to create an environment where we all feel valued, I say, my voice steady yet gentle. As soon as I speak, I see her anticipation turn to defensiveness. Clara, it's just humor. You're overreacting, she deflects, crossing her arms like a fortress around her emotions. Humor shouldn't come at the cost of respect, I reply firmly. The confrontation lingers in the air, uncertainty crackling between us. I can feel her resistance, but deep down, I see a glimmer. Could she genuinely consider the merit in my words? Over the following weeks, I pay attention to the exchanges within our family, my notebook open as I record observations. David begins to echo my sentiments subtly during gatherings. "Vanessa, maybe we should tone down the jokes a bit." His words, though tentative, resonate like a soft drumbeat. I can sense the cracks widening in their once impenetrable partnership. The day of David's birthday arrives, and as guests fill the room, I remind myself that this is not just a celebration, but also the culmination of the hard conversations I've been nurturing. The air is thick with anticipation, but I remain resolute. I prepare a cake adorned with delicate frosting flowers, each petal a symbol of hope for our reunion, each layer a brick in the wall against the superficiality that has stifled us. As we gather around the table, my heart races. I toast to David, inviting him to reflect on the love that forms the foundation of our family. Today we celebrate you, but I also believe it's important we acknowledge how we can thrive together as a family. My voice strengthens as I continue. We've got to establish respect, not just between us, but through how we communicate. Silence wraps around us, my heart pounding, an orchestra of emotions swirling in the air. David's eyes dart between Vanessa and me, uncertainty battling against burgeoning awareness. "So, what do you mean by respect?" Vanessa finally shoots back, her voice tinged with suspicion. "Respect means creating an environment where humor doesn't come at someone else's expense," I clarify, panic bubbling lightly beneath the surface. The moment feels pivotal. "I'm not trying to hurt anyone," she retorts, but her voice shakes. "I thought you could take a joke, Clara." Clenching my jaw, I take a measured breath, keeping my composure steady. "Not all jokes foster connection, Vanessa. You know that. It's essential for me to feel valued too," I say with unwavering conviction. This moment, this confrontation, is my litmus test. I hold my breath, searching David's face for reassurance, a flicker of understanding igniting in his expression. I sense the fear gripping him, lifting just slightly, revealing a willingness to engage. "Mom's right," he says finally, his voice now steady. "We have to find some common ground, or we risk losing what it means to be a family." His admission hangs in the air, a shift of winds changing the very fabric of our gathering. Vanessa visibly stiffens. It's a sliver of progress, but I can feel the struggle, the uncertainty still lying beneath the surface. However, I also feel the tension loosening. In that moment, I realize that both conflict and harmony can coexist, and our journey toward healing is only just beginning. Voices soften as we navigate this uncomfortable terrain together. I'm aware of the building fissures now, of the complexities of relationships layered beneath the surface, but something else ignites within me, a firmness that reassures me. Confidence strengthens with each dialogue, bolstered by the mantra I carry within. In the shadows of mockery and disdain, a mother's instinct battles to reclaim her voice. As laughter resurfaces, I see a possibility of transformation unfold, as each meal we share becomes a step toward clarity, a redefinition of what being family means. I might not have all the answers, but I now recognize that breaking cycles takes patience, the kind born of love and persistence. My journey is far from over, but standing here, surrounded by gathered guests, I face the future committed to nurturing mutual respect and understanding together. The room thrums with the clinks of glasses and the echoes of laughter. It's a sound I once craved, a song that felt increasingly distant under the weight of Vanessa's barbs. Now it resonates something different, a fragile harmony seeding itself among family and friends. My heart races as I hold steadfast to the moment, a looming crescendo forming under the surface, one I realize will define our family. As the cake is served, warm and inviting with its frosting glimmering under the dim lamplight, I scan the faces around the table. David's and Vanessa's expressions dance between tension and acceptance, each conversation threading its way through the exchanges. I know I must push further. Now is the moment to confront the truth, not just for me, but for them as well. Let's make a toast, I declare, my voice slicing through the chatter, steady and commanding, to understanding and respect, to laughter that uplifts instead of belittles. The words flow from me, resonating with deep conviction. There's a pause, an uncertain breath held taut in the air, before I notice everyone raising their glasses. David's eyes meet mine, straightforward and glassy. There's an understanding there that feels powerful. I ride that wave of connection, propelled forward. Life is precious and family should be a sanctuary, I continue, trying to illuminate the path toward healing. I've held my disappointment for far too long. I deserve respect just as each of you do. My heartbeat quickens as I look directly at Vanessa. It's time we foster a space where everyone can feel valued and loved, not mocked. The air thickens with commotion as Vanessa's jaw drops slightly. I watch as her defenses begin to crack. "Clara, I didn't realize," she starts, but I can see the gears turning. She knows this is an inflection point. "I'm glad we're finally talking," I reply, shifting my body toward her, inviting transparency. There's humor, and then there's hurting. Taking a joke too far became a wall between us. No? The room breathes deeply, and I feel their collective tension as it settles. I am conscious of their anticipation and curiosity. David's gaze roams over Vanessa's face, and I can see the hesitation dissolve as he leans in closer. "Mom's right, Vanessa. Your jokes, they hit harder than you think. We should support each other." In that space, a precious moment unfolds as Vanessa processes the truths laid bare before her. I feel the atmosphere vibrating with a blend of vulnerability mingled with the rawness of our present. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Clara," she finally admits, the veil of mockery beginning to lift. "I guess I thought humor would lighten things up, but I see now that it didn't have the effect I wanted." As I listen, my heart swells with bittersweet relief. Here we are. I recognize that too much of our relationship has been trapped within misunderstandings and miscommunications, but now I can see light seeping through the cracks we have made. I nod encouragingly, thanking her silently for allowing a flicker of truth into our narrative. Perhaps we can find humor in ways that uplift, inside jokes that draw us together rather than pushing us apart, I suggest gently, seeking solutions instead of merely venting frustrations, like celebrating our quirks instead of pointing out each other's flaws, David adds tentatively, a grin beginning to unfold across his face. Laughter ripples, lightening the air even further. I'm invigorated by the thought. Laughter can still be our companion, but it must be carefully wielded with understanding. "So, should we give it a try?" Vanessa proposes, her tone softer now, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. "Yes," I can't help but smile, pouring my heart into each word. I want to create an environment where we all feel respected and cherished. As we lift our glasses once again, a newfound warmth fills the room, one of community and growth. The fear that once hovered over us recedes into an afterthought, leaving behind a rich desire to build anew. In that fleeting yet eternal moment, I realize this is not only a testament to my resolve, but a unified promise among us. The shadow that once loomed over our family is slowly receding, revealing healthier connections forged from understanding. In the shadows of mockery and disdain, a mother's instinct battles to reclaim her voice. I feel its mantra reverberate within me, holding meaning like never before. I breathe deeper, each inhale pulling in the echoes of love, lacing our new direction as we navigate this journey of healing together. We are family once again, gathered, alive, and ready to embrace the beauty of our complexities moving forward.